Chapter 4. Decode, test check, test check. Thou shalt not murder other Jews. Torah, Hebrew, original interpretation. Pecked out. Thus here I am as part of a two-man team with 3 Tibetan yaks as cover in an apparently neutral country, the better part of nearly 1,200 kilometres from headquarters, and I'm getting local or distance radio communications in the languages used by India and Pakistan, China, and a code from the USSR, Morse and in English, and the entirety of my focus is to analyse what's going on here. Now that I have found stuff, I had better start interpreting it jolly quick, or it might just end with the next set of clean shoes I pass on the street. First the Morse, only because that would be the fastest. Translate EJFTFM, BME, MFSBUPS. Clearly encoded. DFOUSJGV, BSSJWJOH, PO44. Right, now that makes about as much sense as a madwoman's breakfast. Alas, however, there are patterns. A 2- and 3-word letter can only be a certain number of words in English or Dutch or Latin for that matter. Queen Elizabeth I of England had her Secret Service crack a code based on this type of analysis, and it took ages, but they did it. It's called statistical analysis. The problem is depending on how many times the original message has been changed. It can indeed be a lengthy process. Julius Caesar encrypted his messages with what is now called a Caesar key. It was a 4-sided rule, and the first letters of the message indicated which side to use, and how many spaces down the rule the letters had been moved. For example, if each of the sides was called A, B, C, D, and the side A was chosen, the first letter would be A. If the rule had been shifted twice, then the second character would be 2. Assuming it was just the alphabet in English, this would mean that the letter A was encrypted, the letter C would be encoded. Well, I was on a 24-hour per day listening watch, and I had time to burn, so let's see what I can't resolve. Actual ... dot dot dash 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 dot dot dash dot dash dot dot dash dot dash dash HMIWIP ERH KIRIVEXSV KTW GIRXVMJVYKI. Okay, one skip forward, INJXJQ, so I stopped here. One shift backwards, EJFTFM, turns out to be GLHVOVHO. At this point, I stopped altogether. I am Adrian van Brooklyn, not Alan Turing. This was a time-critical issue, so I speak with Bruce to consider how we're going to clear it. He orders me to send it, encrypting it using our codes, and send it to Pukara HQ as flash traffic with the request to decrypt urgently. 24 hours later, we get this back. Diesel and generator for centrifuge arriving on 3-3. Oh, indeed. Lucked in with the listening, but we have indeed found stuff. What now? Bruce says just wait, no change. For now. We remain a listening post as is. Well, let's not draw attention to ourselves, so as far as we can tell, no one knows we are here and no one knows what else we'll find. He does, however, say, ask Prukra if there's a change to our brief. Again, encode it first, eh? They may not think this is important, but it's not their lives on the line here. As requested, I send the confirm roll here, please, boss. And any change now that there are nukes in the garden? As encrypted flash traffic. And in response, I get nothing. Just a signal letting me know it's been received. 48 hours later, we get a response, and it's typical headshed shit. Useless and dangerous. The response is that relief is being sent ASAP. Hold station and more to follow, wait out. So I asked myself, and in the meantime, neither Bruce nor I are impressed with the entire lack of clarity. So we change our routine, ramp up the security without altering our covert status. before I translate from Morse to English and give it to Major Bruce, I calculate what I'd call ASAP and then reconcile what some RINF considered ASAP for a long-range covert reconnaissance support rescue mission attempt. Dropping a plane onto an airfield is entirely out of the question. Deep cover covert as Yak Masters took us 6 weeks to walk in unnoticed. Maybe they could cut that down to 2 weeks if they trucked the support group to the border. Without Yaks, they could march into the border in 4 days if they travelled 2 hours in daylight, the rest full tilt in the dark. The whole scheme comes back to risk. The faster this gets done, the higher the risk of us being discovered simply by way of mishap or nothing else, let alone fatigue. Typically, and the Bruce screws the pooch and asks me to sleep with him. Well, at least he didn't try to rape me. When I explain politely that operationally it would be a really bad idea, he doesn't take the hint. And I thought majors were supposed to be smart. More surprises. So, when he fails to comprehend my disinterest, I explain that this would really have to be something entirely between he and I, and no one could ever know about it because it really never happened. Again, he misunderstands and puts his hand on the inside of my left knee and smiles. I further explain that because of the nature of the operation, I deem it a security risk. Ha! Talk about 2 short planks, skywriter time. Taking my baby Fairband from my sheath on the inside of my left wrist, covered by the long-sleeved smock I wear, I place the tip beside his carotid artery and slowly and calmly say, "This never happened. If it did, there'd be an accident and you'd live to bet via the Sky Funeral Point where untouchables chop up the bodies of deceased for the vultures to consume, so that even in death a good Buddhist may do a kindness, and so that even in death would-be rapists with low IQs can be turned into the oversized chicken shit they really are." I knew at this point he'd end my career upon return to Pukera, and after all this effort I was never going to have that sort of sexist bulldust end my role. I knew how good I was, and I could mix it with the best, and there was no way this limp-dicked wannabe was going to take it all away. I'd just have to play this one by ear. So we wait. 24 hours, no response from headquarters. No further traffic from sources as yet unidentified. 48 hours, no change. We, that is, Bastard Bruce and I, and one yak, had taken to wandering the streets in what was meant to appear as a random, patternless route. Chatting with locals, keeping a finger wet as it were, but in fact it was a series of grid-by-grid searches of the entire area, ordered in a way that left no quarter unvisited, no street unwalked, but never the adjoining areas. Thus, by keeping tabs on the street pattern, Lhasa streets at this point in time were named but had no signposts nor street names fixed to the corner of buildings. I was able to, upon returning to our base, while feeding the just walked yak, check off all the areas covered and confirm the plan for the next scouting trip. It's a grid street pattern where the hills allow. Then it's a bent grid pattern. 72 hours later, and we get a 2-word coded message. Extract now. This would only be sent if HQ thought we'd been compromised. So, 20 minutes later, we had burned everything that may have been dangerous, not that there was much, while cooking some rice to take, thus looking like a normal routine. Paid the next month's rent, left one yak, and quietly and entirely unassumingly walked out of town back to the Bhutan border without saying goodbye, just in case on the off chance we were sent back before anybody noticed. Sent back we weren't. We had left town at 1400, give or take the time it takes to let the yaks crap, chew cud, amble out. Max yak speed is 20 kilometres a day, so flat out we could do 20 kilometres per day. But these wonderful lumps of black furry lard could not actually walk 24 hours a day, even if we wished they could. So our best hope was for 20 kilometres a day, which in reality turned out to be 15 or 18 kilometres a day due to unplanned stoppages, slope, etc. Still, we needed to offer the appearance of not rushing, while mentally sprinting for our lives. Nerve-wracking? That would be the archetypical understatement. So if 2 herds are better than 1, If 2 heads are better than 1, is 1 yak faster than 2? We're about to find out. 2 days out and we're still less. If 2 heads are better than 1, is 1 yak faster than 2? We're about to find out. 2 days out and we're still less than 40 kilometres from Lhasa. This is for now 4 days since I decoded the message that looked for all the world that either China or the USSR were both starting to refine weapons-grade uranium in the capital of Tibet, and we'd been ordered to exit post-haste. No hot extraction with planes or choppers, just walk out unnoticed quickly, while appearing to be slow. So the bastard Bruce actually did what I thought was smart. He bought a load of firewood. That night, 01:30 the next morning, while we stood the yaks down, we killed one, bled it out, took 20 kilos of the best meats, burned the rest of the animal, and throwing the burned bones into the next fast-flowing river, we crossed at night. 1 yak, 2 soldiers, 23 k's per day. Good call, boss. Credit where credit's due, but I still won't cuddle up to you in the cold. 3 days out, and we're still less than 60 kilometres and 390 out from Lhasa and 390 kilometres to the border. Still an issue in so much that we don't know when our pursuers started and what their rate of pursuit is. On these roads, if they are motorised, and we have to assume that they are, it's only 5 hours away. As we estimate, it can be 30 kilometres an hour without crashing and burning. We steal a truck, load the yak, and about 150 kilometres from the border, the truck breaks down. We continue on foot, still not knowing how far behind, if at all, any Chinese troops are, or are not behind us. Back on foot, and back to 20 kilometres per day. This puts us more than a week from the checkpoint at Bhutan. I suggest we make a left-hand turn, leave the road, go cross-country, direct to Bhutan, and take our chances in the wild. 1 day, maybe, instead of 1 week and a bit. Bruce agrees, so we start at 0300 and head off-road, with no lights, waiting, marching by the moonlight, hoping to avoid being discovered and therefore not have to address possible capture.